Hey guys, Tom Mobile back again. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of the Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G after using it for 6 days. We'll start off with the price. It is $999, which is technically under $1,000. The phone itself is a little gimmicky but does have some purpose. This phone is $400 cheaper than the original Flip. There was no Z Flip 2, just the Z Flip and then the 5G variant. So this is technically only the second generation of this phone. It is not cheap by any mean. $1,000 is still a lot of money, but it is in the territory where some people can consider it. It is the same cost as the Galaxy S20 when it was first released, but for $1,000 you are basically paying for the novelty factor. It is not necessarily the best specs or the best camera, but it is just a good looking phone. It comes in at 128GB, and for another $50 you can double the storage. It is probably worth it if you plan to use it for the long run since it doesn't have a micro SD slot. This phone don't really give you the most bang for your buck. In fact, it is almost the opposite. You are just paying for the style. It is compact and easier to fit in a purse or pocket. It also looks sleek and new and feels very premium. It has an aluminum trim. It is still a two-handed phone though, and very hard to open with one hand. I actually wouldn't recommend opening it with one hand because you are basically digging into the display, and that could get damaged over time, even though they did make the display stronger. I also wouldn't recommend flinging it open dramatically. It looks cool and takes a lot of practice, but that kind of force can definitely hurt the hinge as well. There is a nostalgic factor to this device for those who missed those flip phones back in the day. When the phone is open, you will see the crease immediately. Anyone who don't know what this phone is and sees it for the first time, they will look at it and they will question it right away. But the fact in the matter is, this is the best solution in the market right now. Samsung is pretty much leading the way and no one is really coming close. There are plenty of other folding phones in the market, but every single one out there still have similar issues. As much as you want to complain about it, you kind of forget about it when you start using the phone. The biggest impact is, however, when you are touching it. Since it is in the middle of the screen, your fingers will be touching it pretty much all the time and you do feel the bump. And that part of it is slightly annoying, but I think you will get over it. I think the iPhone notches and the large camera humps are definitely more obnoxious. I do like that it is water resistant, but dust resistant would have been nice as well. So don't bring it to the beach or go crazy with it. It does have 120Hz adaptive refresh rate, which is nice to see when you are gaming or scrolling. The high refresh rate does turn off when you are not using it to save battery, which is very useful. On the screen itself, there's a thin film on it. The more you stare at it, the more you are tempted to peel it off, but Samsung did tell you not to. It is there to protect this foldable screen. And it is a 6.7-inch display, which is massive. And being able to fold in half when you're not using it is super useful. Not too long ago, manufacturers were making 7-inch tablets, and this is pretty much close to a tablet size if you really think about it, and it fits inside of your pocket. One of the downside is it is only a 1080p display. In the Galaxy S20 it was a Quad HD. It is still pretty bright though, but there is room for improvement. One can argue you can't really tell Quad HD on the smaller display anyways, so do what you want with the information there. The phone itself is super long and narrow, so it is a weird ratio. Some of the apps are not really that well supported. I know you can go into the labs and adjust some of the aspect ratio, but it can get a little bit funky. Snapchat gets a little bit weird. If someone sends you a long text, some of the edges can get cut off. I'm sure these kinks will be worked out over time, but for now there are some app support issues to begin with. If you enjoy seeing videos like these, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It would help me a lot. I do like the fingerprint sensor on this phone, and I usually prefer that over the on-screen fingerprint. Fingerprint sensor is a little bit high though. When you open it up, you have to slide your thumb a little bit further just to activate the fingerprint. You already have to go through one step to open the phone and then another step to put your finger up and unlock it. They should have made the sensor right where your thumb would be if you were to open the phone. But I think right now the 5G band is in the middle. They could probably move the band to the bottom of the phone. The perfect area for the sensor would be right above the hinge when you first open up the phone, and your finger would naturally rest there. I do like that the front display is a little bit more usable now with the phone closed. You can look at it to check the clock. Out of the box, you have to tap on it to see the clock, but you can go in and turn on the always on display, which is what I did. This allows you to always see the time. And when you get a notification, you basically see a little orange dot on the side. You have to double tap and then swipe over to read the notification. And other than that, there's some other basic widgets like weather, alarm clock, changing music, and all of that. I honestly don't spend too much time scrolling through all of those. I basically just look at the front screen with the clock, and if there's a notification, I tend to open up my phone and read it, or just double tap quickly to the left and see it. Ironically, one of the best features of this phone is it encourages you to use the phone less, since there is so little information on the front screen. And if you want to interact with it, then you have to make a conscious effort to open up the phone and use it. Other than that, if you're trying to get away and just want a basic simple phone to handle phone calls and use it whenever you want, this is probably ideal for you to kind of go a little bit back in time and take a step back and just appreciate the phone for what it is. Yet at the same time, it still offers the Snapdragon 888, the best-in-class processor on the Android side, and 120 Hz, pretty much all the whole 9 yards in terms of performance. There's nothing lacking there. I do wish that the front screen is bigger, just like the Galaxy Fold, where you can just interact with the whole screen. It is just a little bit more useful that way. You can read your notification and do everything you want on half the screen, and if you want to get more space, then open it up. But for now, I feel like every time I get a notification, I do have to open it up to get the full experience. It's a little bit of a hassle, so that's one thing I still don't like about it. The long and thin design makes it a little bit easier to use as a car mount. The power button is flat, so it doesn't always press against the mount itself. I know ever since the Galaxy S20, they decided to put all the buttons on one side, and as a result, I feel like the power button is always touching the car mount when I put it on, but this is not the case on this phone. And I also really like the flush camera design. This is something that I appreciate back in the days before the Galaxy S20 and the iPhone started putting these giant camera humps in the back. This nice camera is flush and very thin. If you put it on a table, it lays flat and it's not rocking. And sometimes it's good to kind of go back, improve these aesthetic. So the phone itself is beautiful, and I do really like the design. One of the biggest flaws of this phone is the battery life. If you are a power user, you will have trouble getting through the day. On the first day, it lasted about 12 hours for me. Second day, I definitely use it a little bit more as a dash cam and Google Maps and everything like that. So it only lasts about 7.5 hours. And on a typical normal day, if I'm not using it all the time, I get anywhere from 10 to 11 hours. So it's not terrible. It is not great either. But one of the other biggest downfall is it only have a 15-watt fast charger, which is the same as Galaxy S10. Even the S20 had 25-watt fast charging. And on top of that, it does have wireless charging, but it is at 10 watt. So it's pretty much barely even charging unless you have like an office job and sitting at your desk all day with a wireless charger. It wouldn't be that useful. I wish they could have done a little bit more and bumped it to 20 or 25 watt, or even better, just make it 65 watt fast charging, just like the OnePlus 9 Pro, which is about the same price. But at the same time, this phone is not all about the high-end spec and all the flashy features. Just to reiterate again, you're paying for the beautiful design, the portability. When you're done with the phone, put it in the pocket. If you're trying to cut back your use, this is the phone. But if you want like the highest spec, the best that you have to offer, you might have to look elsewhere. But there's still something useful about having a phone that can easily fold in your pocket. Even for me, going on a bike ride, I feel pretty secure having this in my pocket, even if I am wearing shorts. But if I have the Galaxy Fold in my pocket, there's no way I would go bike riding with that in my pocket. Like it or not, folding phones are here to stay. I know in the past when Samsung first introduced the Galaxy Note, everyone thought it was too big or too outrageous. But look at everyone now, no one's using small phones anymore. And all phones are pretty much big at this point. And it seems like folding phones are going to follow the same trajectory. Right now it's still a little bit newer. I know there's creases in the middle, it looks a little bit funky. But Samsung is still improving it every year. They made it water resistant. They made the front screen more usable. And no one else is really coming close at this point. Samsung's pretty much leading the way with these folding designs. and I wouldn't be surprised if down the line Google start doing folding phones, iPhones as well. And most of these manufacturers going to rely on Samsung to produce these screens. But overall, this phone is very sleek looking. It has a nostalgic factor to it, which almost outweigh all the little flaws that it have. It is very stylish, and it's a great way to take a step back in time, take a break from the media, and just enjoy life a little bit more. Maybe use your phone a little bit less, put it away when you're done using, and when you're ready, open it up again. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Galaxy Z Flip, and if you will be getting it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.